Hello and welcome to another NextWaveDV gear review. I'm your host, Tony Reale, and today we're going to be looking at the Tilta FS700 rig system. Now this is the complete Tilta system. I've kind of built my entire system around this, and right now I'm very excited about all the features that it has, and we're going to go over it, the benefits, and some of the disadvantages of the system. So first of all, we have the basic core of the system, which is the cage or armor around the FS700. As you can see, it kind of comes up along here, curves in to give you access at the buttons that are in this area, and then it kind of comes around, and then on the other side it comes down with kind of this front-facing plate. Now this doesn't offer necessarily as much protection as the Lettuce Direct's Master Cinema Series FS700 rig that I was using for a while. That cage really beefs up the camera and adds a great deal of protection to it, but it also adds some extra size to it and some bulk to it. This keeps a very slim profile while still adding some extra accessibility where you need it. One of the nice things about it, of course, by having this cage around it, this armor around it, the top handle is no longer just mounted inside the camera, but it's mounted to the whole system. So oftentimes I will remove a tripod head moving from one thing to another, and being able to pull the entire camera up with all the weight and not just holding it by the top threads that are in here, but actually holding it by this entire cage system, which comes all the way through. It just adds an extra level of security for me that my camera isn't going to be damaged potentially with all this weight holding it by there. Now, of course, when you do add this top plate area, you're taking up these cold shoe mounts. Now, this does add some cold shoe mounts right here, which are really, really convenient. But if you take off this handle, which we'll get to in a second, you're going to have no cold shoe. Now, one thing that I've done is I've added, this is a wooden camera cold shoe plate. Because there's so much cheese around here, there's lots of mounting places for it. So I've added it right here. This is a great spot to put like a wireless microphone pack and stuff like that. So I've added that there. Just a nice thing to have this cheese that you can add that later on. So let's talk about this handle real quick. This is a really, really nice handle. Very, very beefy. There's 2 points of contact. There's this quick release here, and then there's a threaded release. And just to be extra, extra safe, there's a hard stop back here, and then there's a release right here. So this has to be pushed down in order to take the handle off. Very, very nice that the handle is nice and secure, and you can quickly tighten it like this, or you can find a threaded hole in here and you can screw it all the way down, and then the handle is really, really on there secure. This is one of the best handles that I've seen for the FS700, and I'm very, very happy with it. The only disadvantage about it is that with the monitor up, if the camera is tilted down at all, you can't really see the monitor, the onboard monitor. That's the only thing I can say that's bad about this. Of course, most of the time, if you have a full cage system, you're going to be running with a monitor. But if you're trying to go handheld with this and you want to use the onboard monitor, that would be a little bit difficult. So in addition to the handle grip mount, you also have an extra set of rail support. This is standard 15mm thread, so you can add any type of accessory and undersling it. So if you want to have your follow focus underslung or an extra mount for a monitor or whatever it may be, this is a great spot to have it. And being able to quickly add that on there is a great spot to have accessories. I plan on using it for my future wireless follow focus system. It's really, really nice to have. I'm really excited to have this here. So speaking of follow focuses, we of course have the Tilta follow focus here. This is one of the nicest ones that I've worked with personally. Very, very solid, minimal play, barely any play at all. And it does have hard stops. Really, really nice having hard stops. Right now I have this configured as the hard stops because I have my 24 to 105 f4 Canon lens, which doesn't have hard stops built into the lens. So by having these hard stops, we've got minimum focus and infinity. So I can not have to worry about the focus drifting because we go past a certain point or whatever. This is now hard stop point in there. You can also, of course, adjust this and change this so that if you want to have a specific focus move where this is your in and your out move, you can have your focus puller, or if you're operating camera yourself and you don't want to have to be looking at the focus disc marks while you're also composing your shot, you can just basically set your in and out points and you're good to go there. So really, really nice follow focus. Lots of functionality to this. Of course, one thing I always like about a follow focus is if you're able to remove it without having to remove the matte box or any other accessories. This does have that functionality. You can adjust the distance to the lens right in here. And one other thing that you can do is you can swap the gears to the other side. So if you're reversing it or putting it on another angle, or if you have a lens that is different gearing, so like Nikons that have the opposite throw, you can reverse that. So very, very nice feature to have. And overall, I'm very, very happy with this follow focus. It came with these nice threaded rods, which, you know, I can use this short section here for right on the top. The long one, obviously, for what I'm using is not long enough for my system. I had some extra 24-inch rods sitting around, but they have various lengths that you can get. I love having the threaded option because it's like carrying, you know, multiple lengths of rod with you, and if you don't need all the length, you can then, you know, use shorter sections for various sections of the rig. So the rods are very nice. They even have this tapered end to it, so it's easy to get, you know, a rig that might be a little tight on the rods. You can just slide it on there and get it going pretty easily. So overall, very, very nice design for the rods. Next up, let's talk about the matte box. This is their carbon fiber matte box, very lightweight, but very heavy duty. This has a lot of nice features that I'm really excited about. Of course, there's lots of points of adjustability. You can move where your side flags are, so lots of adjustability there. It has the lens sock, which I personally like. Some people like direct mounting the matte box to their lens. Some people like using the donuts. I like the lens sock just because it gives, you know, if I'm using different size lenses, which I often do, this kind of hugs it in there. So it's nice to have that. Of course, the 4x4 filter trays. So most ND filters that most people will be working with are 4x4s. They have a larger size option if you're using more cinema ND filters, but this will be easy to use, rotating, single stage rotating. So if you got polarizer or ND or whatever it may be, you're good to go there. And it is, of course, swing away. So a very nice swing away design. I'm very impressed by this design. It's very secure. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall away. There's no play in it once it's locked in. So I'm very happy with this. Overall, really, really impressed with the design. Now, there's one unique thing about this matte box that I got really excited about, and it's really simple, but once you see it and once you have it, you realize how kind of a necessary thing it is. And that's the fact that this top flag actually folds in half. And, you know, when you're trying to store or transport, the top flag is always like the most frustrating part to move around. So by having it easily able to fold in half and go into your kit, it just takes up less space. I don't have to worry about it getting bent or damaged, and of course, just pops right back on. So that is a cool thing to have. Simple, but it makes a big difference when you're trying to keep your kit small. Now, the Tilta system has a built-in rod support on the base here, and you can easily attach and move your rod support or remove it if completely necessary. Very, very convenient to have that built into the plate. There's no extra attachments, and it's a fairly slim profile considering some of the other rod support systems that I've worked with. There's also a dovetail system. This is just awesome. I mean, once you have a dovetail, it's hard to ever go back, because when you have a system of this size, you know, if I add the back battery plate here, if I add the matte box, I mean, the weight's going to shift, and I want to keep it center weighted properly on this tripod. So being able to shift this dovetail to wherever you need it to be, you can get various length dovetails too if you have a larger camera system or you need some more movement. But once you get to a dovetail system, it's just really, really awesome. And I'm glad that this is built into it. It's not an extra thing that you have to stack onto there. It's just built right in. And then the last thing we'll talk about is the Tilta battery plate. I was for a long time considering getting a battery plate for my camera system because I was getting so many accessories that I need to power. And this distribution system is really, really nice. It's actually one of the better ones that I've seen. And what's cool about it is, of course, you can power off your camera off of this Sony V-mount battery or Anton Bauer battery. And so you get lots of length off of that. But if you have a lot of accessories, then you'll also be able to power it off of that. Right now I have my wireless HDMI system, which I've talked about in a previous episode of DVTV. I have that mounted on here, hard mounted to there. It takes up very little space, and it's powered off of the 5-volt jack, which is one of the outputs of the plate. There's also a specific output for the DC input of your camera. So it doesn't use a battery plate, it uses a DC input plate, which is, I like that system better. It's less bulky, and it keeps the battery port free, so I can leave a battery in there if I need to quickly remove it off of the system and just go completely bare. It also has a D-tap, which I plan on using for my Red Rock wireless follow focus system that I have on the way. And then it also has a 12-volt outlet, which I will use for my upcoming Odyssey 7Q monitor. So I'll be able to run my wireless HDMI, my camera, my wireless follow focus, and my Odyssey 7Q recorder / monitor off of one Sony V-mount battery. Very convenient rather than swapping out batteries. And one of the cool things about this plate system is the adjustability of it. Some plates are very simple in their design. They are, you can only go vertically with them or horizontally. This system has a great deal of adjustability, which I love because I've already got a few configurations where I can use this on the glide cam, or I can use it on just different configurations. For example, I could underslung it a little bit, and now I can use this for on a shoulder and get a little bit of that weight a little lower. So now I'm able to just have this more optimized for on a shoulder rig. So that is the Tilta system. What are my overall thoughts with it? Right now, I'm really in love with it. I love the design of it. I love the professionalism of it. It does most of everything that I wanted. It's not as protective of the camera as my Lettuce system, so I kind of missed that a little bit. But what I lose in protection, I gain in portability and just, not bulking up the camera. It's very lightweight for what it is. I mean, a fully kitted out system like this is heavy, but each component in and of itself is fairly lightweight. It's designed lightweight. The aluminum and the carbon fiber mat box are fairly lightweight for what they are. So that is nice. Having a camera this large could be significantly heavier for what it has. When I first heard of Tilta, I was impressed with their design, but until I actually got a chance to play around with it, I really didn't know, whether it was just, a cheap, good-looking camera rig that didn't perform well. And I can honestly say I'm very happy with it. It's a good-performing camera system, very well designed. I'm overall very impressed. One nice thing too is that ICANN is now the U.S. distributor, because beforehand you'd have, if you're in the U.S. and you're trying to get a hold of Tilta, you had to try and deal with them online and on overseas and all that kind of stuff. So ICANN's great. You can give them a call or you can ask them questions, and it's nice to have a U.S. distributor right in here. So that's where I got my system from. Overall, I'm loving it. It's a really great option for FS700 shooters, but there are plenty of other rigs out there for whatever camera system you might have. So definitely check it out and stay tuned for future reviews.